Also, it looks like you're still at school, unless you have a whiteboard at home.
Oh, no, I'm at NC State's campus, actually. I was presenting earlier tonight, so.
Oh, wow. So we really piled on top of other people piling on top.
It's all right. When you flip your classroom, you have energy to go all night. It's fine.
Well, and when you decide to be an internet superstar, too. You
know,
Oh,
exactly.
A YouTube star. So I have, we watched your two videos, the one that says why I flipped my classroom and the other one that says why it has to be me.
Okay.
And they can see you on 5 different screens around the outside of the classroom.
Oh, wow.
Through speaker, so they can all hear you. I've asked them if when they ask questions to come up and sit here where I am so you can see them and awesome. Talk to the people who ask you questions. But do you want to kick it off? We've already watched those 2 videos, but what else do you want us to know before we open it to questions and answers?
Well, this is a great way to do things because this is exactly how I teach my class. You watched your homework before you came in, so I would usually start class by asking for any questions from the video that you guys previously watched. So I guess that would be the best way to start if you've already heard my background.
Okay. All right. Come on up. Ask questions. We have one on our way. Just tell your name and Katie, or ask her what she wants us to call her too. Maybe now we're her students. So
hi, Katie. I hope it's okay if we call you Katie.
Of course it is.
So my name's Amy. First, I was just wondering what grade level you teach and what subject.
I teach 8th grade algebra and pre-algebra.
Okay, and when did you start the whole flipping classroom thing, and what gave you the idea?
About 18 months ago. So actually 2 school years ago, as weird as it sounds. Actually, what started all of this was there was a big push here in Wake County, Raleigh, where I teach, to move kids into higher level math at an earlier age. When they decided to do this, I had 45 students in my Algebra 1 class. And that was a nightmare, obviously, as you can imagine, 45 little 8th graders in one room. So my principal walked in and he said, okay, we've got to fix this. So his solution was to just bump up 12 kids mid-year and put them in a higher level class. So there was a doctorate over here at NC State who came in to observe my class in January. And when he came in, these 12 new students were in my Algebra 1 class, merged with these kids that had been in algebra all year. And what he was seeing firsthand was chaos, to be honest. I'm running around the room trying to, help these 12 out that have no idea what's going on and teaching the other, 20 some kids exactly where they left off. And at the end of class, he's like, wow, this is kind of crazy. I mean, how are things going? And I explained the background of these kids do not have the prerequisite. They got pushed up in here, so they're lost, and I'm trying to work with these kids. And he really sat me down and pitched the idea to me of, have you heard of flipping the classroom, and would you be willing to try it? So for me, it was a no-brainer. I was basically teaching 2 classes in one, and it honestly saved me. I basically differentiated those kids for the rest of the year. The kids that were behind, they watched videos of me teaching, so they were able to catch back up with where other people were, and the other class members didn't have to stop or slow down for these new classmates. And they were able to kind of self-pace themselves to keep going through the curriculum. And I was able to actually get around and answer more questions because I wasn't standing in the front lecturing to all, 35 of them. And at the end of the year, the results were phenomenal. Even including those 12 that moved up, missing half a year, there was nothing lower than 82 on their final exams that the state gives. So it was kind of a no-brainer for me there, not to mention my lectures that were taking hours in class were down to 4 minutes to 10 minutes. So,
have you ran into any problems with students not having resources such as computers to watch at home?
Of course, and what I've done to combat that is they either come in at lunch, or there's some time during the day where they have kind of like a free period, homeroom time where there's some downtime, and they can get back on one of the computers in the room, or I've burned the videos to a DVD or to a flash drive for the kids that have computer or DVD access but not internet. And their mobile devices are huge now. So you're running into fewer issues where kids actually have access problems because they all have smartphones. They might not have internet or computer at home, but my videos are on YouTube and they can get them right on their pocket, on their smartphones. So it's less of an issue than it used to be.
All right, thank you. Nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you too. Thanks.
Other questions? Yes, come on up. your name.
Hi, I'm Taylor.
Hi, Taylor.
I just had a question about like students' motivation, especially in like 7th, 8th grade. Like you said, you taught. If you ever run into students that aren't motivated to do anything like outside the classroom, what you do with that, basically.
Of course. That is always an issue, I think, at any age, but especially middle school. And what's interesting is, those same kids that struggle with motivation, they don't want to go home and do like workbook problems and textbook things. So it's the same kids that wouldn't do homework before that you struggle to get to watch your video or to come in and prepared. But what's actually different now is what you're doing in class is more engaging. You're doing a lot more group work and collaboration, and you're spending more time with them one-on-one, that they actually want to be involved in that. After a night where they've watched a video for homework, I try to plan something that's very interactive or group-oriented, so that if they don't come to class prepared, they miss out on that part at first, and they have to go back to a computer and they have to get prepared to take part in the activity. And trust me, after a couple times of that, they come to class prepared because they want to be involved in what's now going on.
Do you do anything for students that don't come prepared? Like, is it like a checker or anything like that?
Yes, I require them to take a certain amount of notes from the video, like definitions. You'll see all my videos are set up the same like style and format. So they have to take down definitions, a couple of examples, and I ask them to write down any questions, and that's how we start the class, is I check all that, and then we start with a discussion, like take questions. I give them a few questions to start some discourse, and then I break them off into their groups for the day.
And how often do you give one of these videos? Like, do they have to do it every night?
No, that's a great question. It's usually only 2 to 3 in a week, and some weeks it could be more. Usually there's not more than like 4, and that's if like the beginning of the year when it's like review topics. But usually it's 2 to 3 in a week, and sometimes it's 1, and you're continuing that topic throughout the week and building onto it. So.
All right, thank you very much.
No problem.
Other questions? Wow. Thanks, Jordan.
Hi.
Hi.
My question is, how do you know what video to assign for homework if one group of students is like down here and one group is at a totally different level?
That's a great question. I start off each of my units, and I give them a syllabus, so they know all of the videos and the work that's going to be required for like that unit. And I don't move kids, through an entire unit way ahead of the other kids. So what I like to do is, after I've given a formative assessment or some type of quiz to see where they are, a group of kids might watch the next video and get ahead. The other groups are doing some more remediation. Or, my favorite thing to do is, the kids that really master the content, I actually challenge them to create their own lecture videos. And they're having to become the teacher. And it's something that they love to do because they get to be on screen, they get to make their own videos, and their classmates can watch that. And I can look back at that and see how well they actually understood. It's a much higher level of thinking for them to have to create and publish. And then I'm spending more time with those kids that need more remediation. So I don't have kids that are like moving on way past where we are, but what I'm doing is targeting them to do more challenging things.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thanks, George. Anyone else? I have a question for you.
Great.
So, are other teachers at your school picking up on this too, or how are you perceived by the other teachers in your school?
Oh, that's a great question. And it's funny because you originally started this asking about why, it has to be me on the camera, why it has to be me on my videos. And some of my PLT members, as we call them, professional learning teams, so it's all the other 8th grade math teachers. A couple of them actually tried to use my videos last year. And they said, well, you sent my kids to your videos, and it just didn't work. They didn't really watch them. And I said, well, I can tell you why, because it's me, not you. And it goes back to really building the relationship with their kids. So when they saw my results at the end of the year, I didn't really have to do any convincing. My entire, other 3 teachers that teach my same subject, they took my videos and they created their own. So all of the 8th grade math teachers in my building have flipped their classrooms. They're using the same model, creating their own lecture videos, and have flipped their classroom. And then this year, we have 6th grade math teachers, we have a couple language arts teachers started, and my teammate that teaches social studies has flipped his classroom this year using the same method. And I really think the reason is because they're seeing the involvement that I have with parents. When they come into meetings, parents, rarely are going to look at me and say, well, what more can we do for my child? Because they say, well, you've got those videos. We're watching those, and we're working on that, because it's helping to build that relationship. And other teachers are constantly looking for things to really help bridge that gap between parent, teacher, and student. So there's been a huge success, I would say, at my school alone, of people starting to pick it up, and even across the county.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought about the fact that because your videos are out there, parents too, instead of going, I don't know how to factor.
Exactly.
They can watch the videos too and try and help out where they need to. So you've actually helped scaffold parents in doing their job too.
I have gotten emails, weekly from parents that these are, such a blessing. Thank you so much. Even some of my high school kids that have moved on, their parents will contact me and say, hey, we had to pull up one of your videos again last night. It's still creating those relationships that are crucial for student success, for parents to now be involved. They can't take a back seat anymore because you've put something out there and you've made your classroom just transparent. And if it was someone else on that video, those parents would not buy into it. So
interesting. You made a very convincing case for making your own videos. There are a lot of people who are flipping using Khan Academy videos and things like that, and the whole management system. Do you have some sort of management system, or do you sometimes recommend other videos as well as your own? That's
a great question. And there are some of my high-level kids that, if they're beyond, some of the topics we have within, Math 1 or Algebra 1, I can put them to a Khan Academy video and have them do that for an extension. Those really high achievers can watch something like that and still gather the information they need. But I actually did a little small study for myself last year, and I randomly selected 20 of my kids. Had 10 of them watch Khan Academy's video, 10 watch mine on a brand new topic that I cover. And without any further instruction, I gave them a little assessment, 5 questions, to see how they did. And there was a drastic difference in how they performed, which really gets back to why I needed to create my own and what my students really get out of that. I don't think that, using other people's videos like Khan Academy or YouTube, Brightstorm, other teachers, they're not unusable, but to me, they're a resource for teachers to create their own. They're a great starting point for teachers to start creating their own videos, because you need to model that for students.
Yeah. So how much time do you spend creating videos?
Well, I've finished, I've reused, obviously, this year what I needed. And then this year I've had to create new ones because we changed to we changed to Common Core standards here in North Carolina. So there were a few more that I had to create this year. And I knocked out on one Saturday. I did the new ones that I needed to do, and my curriculum's done for the year. So all in all, I spent probably, I would say a couple weeks on one of my breaks, filmed to get me through the school year when I first started, and then I took a couple weeks later on, here and there, not every single day for 2 weeks, and filmed for the rest of the year. So
great. Well, so Henriette, come on. We have another question from the class.
Okay, no problem.
Hi, how are you? My name's Henriette.
Hi.
So do you think that the difference in middle school, where the students are actually identifying more with you, that would be more the case in middle school and less so the case in high school? That the high school students might be able to learn and identify with the Khan videos as much as with their teacher?
Well, I think there's several things there. What we found in the research we've done is that Khan Academy's videos compared to mine, there's no one on the screen. And after a few minutes...
it's just all the writing?
Right. And so one of the drawbacks there is you really need the verbal, hand gesturing, the verbal cues, the eye contact to really keep someone's attention more than 2 or 3 minutes. The other thing that I really think is important is that common language that you have in your classroom and your videos. And I would even argue, I've used Khan Academy's videos myself, and I've watched them and looked at them, and for me, it would be harder on me to use his videos in my classroom, because there's some examples that aren't age appropriate, or even at the high school level, it's like, I wouldn't use that example. And it would take more work for me to then say, okay, ignore that example. This is the way I do it. And I think that for teachers, that's something that you really, you have your own unique way of teaching, and no one can take that away from you. That's the beauty of teaching, is that we all have our own spin to put on things. And, that's what the kids need, because you want it to be consistent with what you're doing in the classroom.
Right, and it's the connection. I
Exactly.
understand what you're saying. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you.
No problem.
Other questions? Well, Katie, thank you. You have fans you don't even know about. I mean,
Love it.
I've shown your videos in a presentation to in an auditorium, and pointed them out to other people and sent links out, and I'm sure you're influencing a lot of people, and I'm really happy about that. And I want to thank you for that. And you'll hear from me again. I'll touch base. But if there's ever a way that I can return this favor, please don't hesitate to ask.
Awesome. Thank you. And thank you for having me in there. This is awesome.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.